everyone, and welcome to another episode of the ReCommerce today. Today on the show, we are joined by Chris Hale. Chris Hale is the founder and CEO of Smartphones Plus. His story is very inspiring in the business. He started this business out of his basement and grew it to a multi-million-dollar business today. He has a very innovative mindset. He comes and approaches problems very creatively, looking at his business. So I'm super excited to get into this conversation. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Glad to be here today.
Yeah, definitely. It's our pleasure. To get started, I was inspired, as I said, by how you started this company while studying your bachelor's. So I'm guessing you probably
Yeah.
must be in your early 20s. So
Yeah.
what was that time like? And how did you hustle through it? Because 90% of the people are not really thinking that big during that time of their life.
Yeah, right. So I was going back to school at the time, University of Minnesota for finance. I knew I always wanted to do something in finance or something with business. It's kind of always been my passion. I had a daughter too at the time, so I had a lot going on. That was kind of a lot of motivation for me was, give my daughter a good life, make sure that has opportunities that she doesn't have to pass up
Mhm.
because of, decisions I've made. So that was really important to me. And also at the same time, I always wanted to start a business. So I mean, it was long and hard. I mean, I had a full time job too, so I would go to work. I would come home. I would hang out with the family for a little bit. Put the daughter to bed, and then I would start doing homework. And then, um, between semesters, I was doing fall, spring, winter, summer. I was going, all year round. And I always had just a 2 week break between semesters. And I was, like I was saying, wanted to start a business. So I started doing research and I saw this guy. He was just buying and selling devices off of Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. So I looked in my local city here in Iowa and I saw there's a ton of people selling their old electronics. So that's what kind of got me inspired. And I just started making a little bit of income on the side. First phone, I made $50 profit, listed on eBay, sold within, 24 hours. And I'm like, hey, that took me less than an hour of work between picking up the device, shipping it, listing it. So that was kind of what hooked me to get started. And then it kind of snowballed from there. And then I brought my two brothers into the business, and they were going to university at the time, University of Iowa, and down in Iowa City, I was in Cedar Rapids, and my other brother was in Waterloo. And it's about 40 minutes apart from each other. So they were doing the same thing as me. I was like, hey, you guys, let's whatever money you guys make, you keep. Whatever I make, I'll keep, and we'll just use the name Smartphone Plus. And that's exactly what we did. And it kind of grew within those cities. And then that's when we're like, hey, let's make a website and have people all over the United States just mail us this stuff in. So that's what we did. And during COVID, it really that's when it really took off. We got connected with a few affiliate sites that started driving traffic to our website, and then we would just pay a commission per order, and that kind of launched us. Our business tripled that year. And we started having to look for warehouse space and all that. So it was really exciting and getting into a lot of stuff that we didn't know what to do or how to do it. So we kind of figured everything out as we built the business little by little. But I mean, it started with just literally one phone, and I had a goal. I just needed a couple devices a day, and that's all I was trying to get, and it was just doing it on the side. But now it's the amount of devices that I would probably get in a whole month, or in several months, we get literally every day. So it's crazy. Even to me, it's surreal. A lot of days how it's grown from just a simple, hey, you make $50 here and there, to literally, we're multi-million-dollar company now.
100%. I mean, that is a really wholesome story, especially like I can fully relate with that first trip when you make your first dollar out of a business. You really feel excited that, hey, if that is the kind of returns you can get from your effort, I want to do it more. And then you get hooked on that
Right.
experience, and the obsession takes over. So I really I resonated with how you kind of scale the business, and you looked at starting small, having smaller goals, and then kind of expanding organically. The brand is doing really well right now from what I understand. I really like the model, how you're kind of approaching the supply side of the business, which is getting supply from consumers. is the best way to get the most reliable and most scalable. So I really like how you're scaling. I mean, I could like while you were kind of sharing your story, I could see like the milestones and how at each milestone you kind of doubled the scale of your business because you made those decisions to kind of continue seeing, okay, how can I make it even bigger? How can I make it even bigger with people and the model? So in this model, like I had this curiosity where you're competing directly with OEMs as well in one sense where Apple, Samsung, LG, all the smartphone manufacturers, they themselves have these refurbishment programs. So how do you position your business against these current the OEMs itself that provide similar services? Not just you, like companies like iFixit and other companies. How does the industry work in that sense?
Yeah, it's pretty hard to compete against, the names that everybody knows, right?
Mhm.
So sometimes, I mean, those companies, Apple, all the OEMs, those guys are just they're almost too big to compete with at a certain level. However, how
Mhm.
we compete with them is by providing that one-on-one service. We provide more dedicated service. Sometimes, the people that you're talking to, if you call us or email us, those are the people that are right here at our warehouse working. Whereas some of those larger companies, maybe they've outsourced the customer service, and they're not necessarily on site. They don't get to see the full day-to-day process. So our team has a full understanding of how it works. They're able to better educate customers with questions or help them get the most value out of their products, or educate them on other products that they can buy, that we can buy, or they can recycle with us. A lot of these OEMs, a lot of where we do better than them is just the products that we offer for trade in. Some of them, maybe they only accept phones, tablets, smartwatches, maybe computers. We accept all of that, plus GoPro accessories, really a more wide variety of items that people can trade in with us. And then also, we're usually able to offer a little bit better pricing than them because we hold everything here. We're not outsourcing any of the work. The Verizons of the world, the phone carriers, now those guys, to be honest, we can't really compete with when it comes to when they're offering trade in deals. You see the get $1,000 off, get $800 off. Well, they're only doing that to subsidize, to get you to lock you into that contract for another 2 or 3 years. So we're not necessarily trying to compete with that type of deal. I mean, we can compete with them when you're just doing a normal trade in, and we typically offer better prices and then everything else that I mentioned earlier as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I see their value proposition different than yours. You're able to kind of take the complexity of multiple devices while they specialize in their kind of device, and that's what they take. I also see value in your model where you're able to create programs with schools and companies that you're able to take all kind of devices versus, hey, I'm an Apple service provider and I would just take Apple products, right? That makes it super simple because it doesn't come as the main function of any school or any IT department in any company where they're not looking at this as the forward moving thing, right? So I really see a lot of value in what you do. I think you cannot compete with them, but at the same time I think the market is very big, right? Like I think I looked up, it was around 63 billion dollars,
It's huge.
and it's growing 10% year over year till at least the forecast till 2020 the 2030, right? So it's a growing business. There is no need for I think I don't see the like I think I kind of my understanding was as well was that your business is very different than theirs while the space might be same.
Right. It's similar for sure,
Mhm.
but there's a different need for each type of consumer. Somebody that's on Apple looking to purchase a phone, they probably just trade it in because it's simple to do it
Mhm.
on that. Somebody that's looking to maximize value, maximize the speed of the trade in, maybe they're looking for outside sources and will find us out there. And that's kind of the customers and the clientele we're looking for. Apple's a great option. Go with them for your trade in, but we don't need everybody. It's just like you said, the total addressable market is massive. We only need a little bit of it, and that's kind of what we're going after.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in I mean, I think you're one of the leading, outside of the OEMs, I think one of the leadings. I looked up, they were around 18, and I think in terms of scale, you're among the top five, I would say, with respect to the electronic trading programs outside of the OEMs run one. So yeah, definitely, I think the market is big, and I think what you guys provide and the experience that you provide on your website is really smooth. Like I tried to trade in my phone. I didn't all the way trade in
Yeah.
my phone because I still need my phone, but I tried to test it. So I think it's pretty straightforward. Anyone with little understanding of using websites can trade in their phone, which is it's quite
Exactly.
more convenient than going into a store and driving and trying to exchange it. And
It
sometimes you
is.
don't want to do that. You just have this phone and you want this gone.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Exactly right.
How do you look at these peer-to-peer solutions though in this market? Like these websites like OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace. Like like I think in your inspiration for this business came in the beginning from seeing a similar scenario, right? Like where people were exchanging phones. So that I'm guessing is also taking some chunk of this market. So how do you look at that ecosystem? Like, does it augment your business? Is it eating up into your business? Or like, how do you look at it?
Yeah, I think it's a good option. I mean, I think it's a good option for the consumer because they can get a good deal on a phone, and then the person selling, they're not really a phone, just any electronics, and then the person selling it, they can typically get more selling peer to peer. And then there are people that have bad experiences selling peer to peer, and then those are the people that typically won't do it again, and they'll will
Hmm.
find a site like us. Are they going to get paid as much? No, they're not going to get paid as much as you would selling it on your own, but you're going to have no hassle. No, it's free shipping. We literally baby you through the entire process. How do you erase your phone? Make sure that it's good to go and not all your data's gone. There's nothing left on your device. It's all cleared and you have that peace of mind. And that's kind of where we step in when it comes to peer to peer selling. So
Hmm.
I think it's a good option.
Hmm.
That's how we started our entire business, is kind of on the peer-to-peer marketplaces and grew it from there. So yeah, I like it. I mean, it's kind of like if you were to sell a car, right? Like you
Hmm.
can sell it yourself, you're going to get more, or you can trade it in, and you're going to get significantly less, but you get that convenience. You don't have to, no hassle. You don't have to worry about really anything. So it's really similar to the selling a car, that whole experience.
That makes sense. It's like, what do you prefer? Do you prefer speed or do you prefer
Exactly.
convenience? Do you prefer convenience or more money
Right.
or like more returns?
Yep. That's what
Those
it
are the
all.
two options. So yeah, I think it's touching to a different persona of people who would, go out their way and put their phone, would make sure it's clean, would make sure, the charge is back in there and all that. And then there's another persona of people that, hey, I just want to put it in an envelope and let it go on its way, right? Because um, sometimes the difference between doing that and that, I would guess, if it's an iPhone 12 or 13, could be just $50, which might not worth be the
Yeah.
hassle of listing on Facebook Messenger or wherever you would, and then try to sell it
Right.
and try to meet people in the middle of the road and try to exchange a phone.
Right, right. Or deal with people, yeah, constantly messaging you, hey, take $50 for it. It's like, no, I'm trying to sell it for 200. So yeah, it's not like you can sell it in person for 500 and we buy it for 100. I mean,
Mhm.
it's a lot closer than probably what people think. It's more like maybe around 50-ish dollars. It really depends on the device, of course, but yeah.
100%. Yeah, I'd agree. Like the value would not be that much in most consumers' mind. So I think that's a good segue. Like looking at consumers' perception of this industry, like there are two parties, right? Like there are parties who are, like they are very electronic savvy. They understand electronics really well. They know that a refurbished product is not is comes with no defect and kind of relate to buying a new phone as buying a new used car, right? Like just like we buy cars, we can also buy phones with same kind of quality mindset. So in that kind of like thing, like in that kind of mindset, do you come across different kind of people like where your resistance to be able to move goods has been that, hey, what if the warranty doesn't work? What if the parts have been, like flipped out and in out of the product? So, like, what role does that play in this industry? Because like, as a layman, I can understand. Like, to me, the first question, if I'm buying a used electronic, would be, am I buying it from a reliable source? Because there are many source electronic shops that can give that. The phone is something you can't open and see and make sure that, hey, what exactly is in there. You can have a subpar chip or motherboard or whatever the phone has. So how does what role does that quality and keeping consumer perception about used goods or used electronics are good products?
Yeah, I mean it's huge, right? Because especially if you're a first time, it's your first time purchasing something refurbished or used, and if you have a bad experience, um, you might not ever buy used or refurbished again, which is not ideal because there typically is nothing wrong with purchasing used or refurbished at this point. The devices are pretty much, there's not much changing, I guess, every year. There's not a huge dramatic changes like there once was 10 years ago or anything. So how do you keep that perception? It's just making sure you maintain your quality and the consistency across the board, making sure the suppliers that we're getting parts from, and all of that, they're high quality parts, they're not low quality, so the consumer has an equal experience or as close to as equal as possible to OEM. um, Apple now puts, battery warnings and screen warnings on the devices once they've been replaced. Um, Now that's not a bad thing by any means. It's just strictly a warning telling the user that, hey, this is no longer an OEM part or something's been changed in it, right? So it's just educating the consumer, hey, that it's still okay. There's a brand new battery and it's actually better than, the OEM battery because the OEM battery was no longer good. It's used its life. And now we've replaced it with a brand new battery. It has the warning message on it, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. And then on top of it, we typically warranty everything for a year. So we're mimicking a manufacturer's brand new device warranty. And sometimes there's stuff that we're warranting that even a manufacturer wouldn't warranty, just to provide that next level of customer service, to continue to just educate customers and let them know that it's okay. And if something does go wrong, you can be reassured that we're either going to fix it or replace the device. You're not just out of money. So providing all of that education, consistency, and a good warranty on the devices is going to help make consumers a lot more confident, not only purchasing one time, but continuing to purchase, hopefully always refurbished or used.
Yeah, definitely. I think I completely agree. The first experience matters. If in the first experience you find out that the alternate part or whatever I got refurbished in my device, or if I bought a refurbished iPhone, Samsung phone, or a laptop, and it worked out to be just the similar, then your trust in the refurbished, marketing piece is like for me, like I bought an MacBook 2016 from eBay in 2020, and I had to replace the screen once I went to an outside vendor. The chance that I took was that yeah, it might not work, and this might be the time that I have to retire this, but it's worth giving the try because the price of the part is much lower than buying a new MacBook, and there's not much changing. You can change the operating system like every 3 months whenever the update comes. So what exactly are you paying for in a new machine, right?
Right.
So I think that mindset, like as you said, like it also, I believe it can also change by giving people this visible, creating a business like yours where you're making sure there's a warranty on the part, there's making sure that the supply is good, and it's not more like, hey, I just got it done by someone who doesn't know what they're doing. So I think that's the place where a lot of bad experience happen, where businesses that set up shop without the complete infrastructure or the quality assurance guarantees, and then they kind of operate, and that's where the bad experiences come from. In third world countries, these small, at least in India where I come from, these shops are like like very small businesses. So where people would just set up some tools, they'll have some understanding, they'll learn on the job, so they'll have good experiences, bad experiences. But it's electronics is a very deceptive market, at least in Asia, where you can give your phone for repair, and if you do not trust the vendor, you might not get the real parts back because you're not never opening your phone to kind of check, right? So I think trust and transparency matters a lot, kind of building that perception.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Trust is huge.
So how do you do you like, in addition to warranties, like are there other services that you provide if in case you do have a problem outside of your warranty? Can you we would be happy to help you repair the phone and get it into working condition with
Yeah,
some
we'll
things like that.
yeah, yeah. We do repairs on the devices as well. However, typically phones, people aren't mailing it in to us to get it fixed, just because they can't be without their phone for more than a few hours, let alone a couple days. Just mail time alone would take 2 to 4 days, and then give us a day to repair the device. So you might be out your phone almost a whole week, 3 to 5 days. So we do offer that service, and if there is anything wrong with the device, we typically, if they bought it from us, we might discount that a little bit to provide just that. Again, that's that higher level of service, just to let them know, hey, it's not our fault. Maybe they cracked the screen or something stopped working. That's not anything wrong with the phone. It's actually just the user dropped it or whatever the case might be. So yeah, we give them those options. We provide insurance on them too. If you check out on our website, you can purchase additional insurance, so you are covered against that crack or any type of failure. And typically, they don't have to mail that back into us. They can just go to a local repair shop and just get reimbursed the funds from that. So that's typically the best option for them after they purchase the phone, if anything
Makes
goes. Yeah.
makes sense. That makes sense. So yeah, I think that's again like another value of like trust and like assurance that the industry needs, that hey, I am buying a refurbished electronics good, but if something goes wrong, the vendor or the person I bought from is going to be able to repair it for me. So the assurance piece of that, yes, if even if things go wrong, they would be repaired, is something. I guess it's similar to like, I think the analogy you put, like the car industry, where if you buy a pre-owned certified car, if the engine stops working in 2 months, you can go back to the dealer and be like, hey, you sold me this car. At least I have 2 years on this part, like maybe 1 year on the tires and things like that. So yeah, I think the industry needs to change a little bit of perception, like used goods. I think in one of our offline conversations, you mentioned just like in 1970s, like used goods were not looked as a good commodity. I think electronics are going through that same. I think they're coming out of it, but they're going through that cycle. But there's a lot more can be done. Consumers are buying secondhand clothes, right? They're buying clothes which
Right.
other people have wore.
Right.
And so phones should not be phones and and laptops and TVs and those things should not be a barrier for sure.
Right.
I think it's more of a North America trend than more Europe trend, because I looked at least in Europe, every third person is ready to at least replace their phone, repair their phone. The demographic, as you grow older, so as you grow to your 60s, or like as you become 60 plus, your tendency to do that even increases, which makes sense because as you're growing older, you're becoming more frugal. You understand that hey, why do I buy just like why would I buy a new device every year? But I think the trend in Europe is much better, and I think US and economy and market and consumers can kind of catch up in that trend for sure.
100%. Yeah, Europe, UK, they're like ahead of the United States when it comes to all of the refurbished category, in my opinion. Typically, if we're looking to make a change or maybe we want to see what's trending in the industry, we typically look to Europe to see what's going on over there. What are other companies doing over there? Because it seems like, yeah, they're just a step or two ahead of us over here. And I think part of that is due to just they're just more sustainability and more education around recycling and reuse and not being so wasteful. Whereas here in the United States, we kind of unfortunately have a wasteful mindset, I'd say, that some people do anyways. But I do see a lot of that changing though. I see a lot of even the younger generation just being more aware about sustainability and more conscious about, should I buy this brand new device or this brand new piece of clothing, or should I look to go to the secondhand store, go buy a refurbished device? And they want to thrifting's come back. It's like thrifting is trending, and not that this is necessarily thrifting, but just going along that, I think it's people are just more conscious, I think, about what's going on in the world.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's also correlating with the growing industry and like used goods market is increasing. So I think the industry is definitely growing in the right direction, but there's a lot more can be done. Like stats like like people are replacing their phone every 2 years. which every 2 year technology is not, like no, even Apple cannot, like refresh and, take a revamp the entire product in 2 years. Product building takes a lot of time. It takes thousands of people work together and build features and being able to implement them at a scale of billion people using it. So no, like 2 years is, I think 5 years is a good cycle when, products, I don't know what you think about the iPhone 17. And if you looked at it, it definitely looks aesthetically very different than the old one, and it's thinner as well. Things don't change that more often. If you look at 16 to 11, it's literally the same phone with, I mean, at least in my perception, with a few upgrades.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally, there's not much changing on it. There's very minor details that change that don't, in my opinion, make or break should I upgrade or not. Really, the two factors to upgrade these days that I hear from people are phones just getting slow. The applications that they're making and the new software they're making. Typically, you need a better processor to handle the better applications. It's running out of storage, battery. Now, storage and battery you can change. You can always get get cloud storage and upgrade your plan, or you can always change your battery in your phone. It's just a lot of consumers don't even realize for some reason that you can upgrade and put a new battery in the phone. However, do any OEMs ever educate any of the consumers around that? No, they don't. So nobody really understands that. You can go and change the battery for usually under $100, and your phone's good for another couple of years. Just like in a car, you maybe change your battery every 7 to 8 years in your car. It lasts a little longer. It's a bigger battery, but it's a consumable product. It is the same thing in a phone or any other device. Change the battery, you're good to go for another couple of years. People don't realize that that's all it takes sometimes. So those are the 2 or 3 biggest reasons I see people upgrading, and they don't really need to. Or really, honestly, the real reason is just because they want the latest and greatest. It's almost like a peer pressure thing, or the marketing's just so good that you just want it, even if you don't need it. So
Yeah, but like if you look at it funnily, like if you just be one generation behind, you can literally buy the same technology at 50% or like 60% off. So if you go buy a iPhone 16 right now, so yeah, you want to move forward, you can move forward. But if you play the system well with, I'm just going to be one behind or two behind, you're still going to get the same experience.
exactly.
Trailing 5 years, they have to keep the same software. So it's not like if any software update is coming in 17, that won't come in 16, 15, 14 at least, right? So, but yeah, I also agree, like the messaging itself is not there. And I think the industry itself needs more voices like you who can kind of, bring that, hey, what is the importance of having used goods? I want to make a segue. I want to talk about the complexity of your industry itself, right? So while your business looks quite simple on the surface, but it has a lot of technicalities of opening up phones, laptops, finding out what exactly is going on with them, fixing them, replacing those parts, making sure those parts would last, fixing them and, like packing them as brand new and then so on, right? So electronics are very challenging if you look at them to kind of repair. So how do you kind of, like how do you look at your current processes? What role do you think Vision AI would play and is already playing in this industry?
Yeah, it's Vision AI. Yeah, I think that's going to be huge, especially with grading devices. That's one of the um, biggest differences between companies that sell refurbished devices. A lot of people use ABC grade, right? So our B grade, or we call it good condition, is typically a lot of people's A grade or A condition. And, you know, some people have 10 different grades: A plus, A minus, B plus. It's too much. It's kind of overcomplicating. Vision AI, though, would be great, or is great. And I've seen this in some facilities where it will, you can map it out. So if it has this deep of a scratch, X, much of the screen's covered in scratches, place that in good condition or place it in fair condition. Or if it notices that, you know, obviously if there's cracks, it can get all of that. But by doing it this way, companies can get their grading a lot more closer to each other and a lot more just centralized, because I think that's one of the biggest things. It's really subjective right now. And to be honest, it might be something that, again, it's kind of like a car. You have all the same cars, but you might have a lot of scratches on the back right panel of the car, whereas on the identical car, there's only 2 scratches on the front. Well, both of those cars are in good condition. They're not perfect condition. It's the same thing with devices.
Understood.
But Vision AI can help because the human eye is different on each one of us, right? And what's fair to me might be a perfect phone to you. It's just all how we see it. Because, yeah, we get reviews, of course, and we're sending out fair condition phones, and they're like, "Well, this is a brand new phone. Like, there's no scratches on it." Well, there probably is no marks on the screen. It's all scratched up on the back. Put a case on it, it's good to go. And it definitely looks like a phone. You just saved $100 because you bought a less condition model that functions identical to the perfect condition one. But that's how I see Vision AI working. And not only that, I mean, Vision AI to help just receiving and outgoing of devices and packaging and sorting and helping putting into the right processing areas and departments, and helping the picking and packing team locate items faster and quicker. And there's a lot of good benefits to it. We don't use any Vision AI right now. I know a lot of the bigger players use some sort of AI or robotics and stuff, and I love seeing it. And the more that they use it, it's kind of just like any luxury item. The more that adapt it, the cheaper it gets over time. So just a matter of time, I mean, before we adopt some type of AI or robotics. But yeah, not currently. But yeah, hopefully in the future for sure.
Yeah, makes sense. I think the technology is not there yet to fully take over and scale into. Like, I was looking at some papers. The accuracy is about 70%. So, like what happens to the next other 30% of the time it doesn't accurately. So the accuracy, I think on the science level itself, the accuracy is just not there to be able to kind of, at least for any deep learning models, to be able to see a device and say what exactly is wrong with it. It'll only be correct 7 out of 10 times. I think, like from what you said, the scratches analogy, I think scratches are not something which Vision AI or anything else can kind of estimate, because that's more of a subjective thing. Just like you said, right? Somebody could be okay with a scratch, somebody would not be okay with a scratch. But it's more about what's inside, and if what's inside itself is pristine, or is in a condition where it could continue to go on for another 2 years, 3 years, or whatever it is, right? So I think more than, and I'm quite new to the used electronics industry, but I don't know, like, is the scratches the biggest variable people look at pricing a product, or would you not say that hey, what's inside is sometimes matters more, because a lot of devices stop working because the motherboard is gone or something else is gone, and that's where a lot of time in diagnosing what needs to be fixed goes.
Yeah, I would say condition is the biggest factor. Why? Because when we're testing these devices, our company, really any company, we're saying that everything on the inside is 100% functional. It's going to last. And that's why we're confident in putting a 1-year warranty on these used products, because we're so confident that we hook all of our devices up to diagnostic software right now. So it's running checks on all of the internals. It's making sure the motherboard is good. Is the battery good? The cameras work. They're not blurry. It's functioning. Nothing's glitching out. And if anything is glitching out or acting weird, or something's overheating, or just acting not normal, our software already picks all of that up right now. And similar to us, most refurbishers or most um, used resellers, they're using some sort of diagnostic at this point, because it's too manual, and it's too much, really just too much trust. And it could be easy to forget certain tests. So it's easier to just use the software. And then Vision AI. So it does become more of just a cosmetic thing, because everything is equal on the inside, or it should be equal on the inside already. And yeah, and then if it's not, you're covered by that 1-year warranty. So it's a hassle to send your phone back in, and but it's kind of just that blanket of security. And it's a very minor amount of people that actually have to warranty their devices. I mean, we sell thousands of phones a year, and maybe we get a handful back that we have to warranty. It's not even, it's a fraction of a percentage basically that we actually warranty. But when you're doing the right thing and you're making sure that these phones are good to go when they go out the door, that's what you can expect. You can't expect perfection because that's just unrealistic. But you can expect to have a very high percentage go out your door and be in good working condition for the next, 5 years for the user.
Makes sense. I think I was missing this diagnostic software piece. I think that makes sense. The hardware, all of that, I think you plug in something and it kind of gives you the entire and everything's working
Yeah.
or not.
So
So I
we at
think
least
that
have that, which is nice. Yeah. Yeah.
understood. I think that's awesome. So I think there's no application of vision AI in that. I think it's more of the cosmetics is at
Yeah.
least what I like. And I think at least in my mind, that's not a huge use case because
Right.
it's looking at scratches. It's not looking at the other thing. But I really agree with the other, like the post refurbishment piece of the warehouse and logistics part of running this industry, which is picking and packing, sorting. That I think there's a lot of new robots that have come in there, autonomous arms, a lot of
Yep.
industry, a lot of companies that are popping up. So yeah, I think in 3 years, like I think I'm guessing like at least every 3PL or warehouse would have one kind of robot. It could be just it's picking here and there. They're very, I think robots are very like one purpose, single purpose, two, three purpose. They can't do. I'm like I don't see a fully autonomous, fully like just give a prompt and do that thing kind of robot anytime soon. But I still see a lot of 3 case use case, 4 case use case, pick it from here, scan it from here, and keep it there. They're making their way into almost every warehouse, at least in 3 years, for sure.
Exactly.
What do you think about the tariff situation and its impact on the industry overall, specifically your parts purchasing, so like impacting your costs, and in general, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, part prices definitely increase. We get a lot of stuff right out of China. So, I mean, anything that's impacting China typically impacts the refurbished community. The majority of the items come out of China in general, not just repair parts, right? So, I mean, it does have a big impact. And I think I just saw within the last couple of weeks, actually, that Sony increased the price of their brand new PlayStation 5s by $50. Now, I can't remember if that was tariff. I'm pretty sure that was because of tariffs. I'm not 100% sure, but we also saw Apple come out with their new devices just last week. They unveiled the iPhone 17 series. They didn't have a price increase. Now, what they did do that was interesting, though, was they added 2 terabyte storage, which is a pretty dramatic increase between a 1 terabyte up to 2 terabytes. And there's speculation that that's just because that's how they're making up for the difference in the tariffs is by adding that extra storage in there. And then, of course, they're able to charge more for that. So for the extra storage, they do have a pretty expensive iPhone out there for that reason. And I think that's to help make up for any of the tariff situation that may or may not happen. So how does it affect it though? At the end of the day, if there is any effect, it honestly, it hurts us when we're refurbishing devices, but it also increases the demand for the used and refurbished market if brand new prices are going up, if they're not readily available via demand or sorry, supply shortages, right? So we saw this happen in COVID, even where the carriers like the Verizon, AT&T, they weren't able to get enough supply of brand new phones because stuff was getting, stopped at ports and all this and that with supply. So they were carriers referring a lot of people right over to us saying, hey, go to Smartphones Plus, purchase a phone, and then come back here and hook it up with service because we literally don't have any phones. So we saw that what happens when the demand is high, but the supply is low or literally non-existent for several weeks, the demand increases in the used to refurbished market. And that also can increase prices in the used and refurbished market, which is virtually unheard of because there's typically only one way that prices go with used devices, and that's just downwards, just because there's so much new tech coming out constantly. It gets outdated very quickly. Um, so yeah, I haven't seen a direct impact other than part prices slightly.
100%. I think situation like COVID where supply is so extremely low would not come back. So obviously, I don't see even I don't see like tariffs having anywhere close to an impact of what COVID had on the
I
that
agree.
this industry or any retail industry or any other industry per se. But I think tariffs, like yeah, as you said, parts like the prices of part is going to increase, so it's going to be getting harder to get parts in cheaper, which is going to increase the cost, which I feel like might force the OEMs to be like, I want to refurbish more goods, I want to get more used goods, more iPhone or more Samsung Galaxies and like the older ones, so that I can use the parts in the newer ones and kind of keep continuing my production cycles in US as much as I can. So I do see that there could be an opportunity there. I might be, just looking at something very naively, but it could be that if the parts already can be there, they might be able to kind of create phones much faster over here, because that's, I think, I guess, one of the barriers. Other than that, I think, yeah, I mean, I don't see much impact either on the tariffs, at least as of right now. There are obviously some reports where, consumers at an overall level, because of tariffs, are becoming more, like inclined towards buying used goods, secondhand goods. They're looking for more deals in the market. So I'm guessing that's going to obviously trickle down to electronics, because that's one of the biggest, expense, high ASP item that, most consumers buy. So I definitely see, because of that overall tariff situation and that inflation situation, there would be some, like mindset shifts where people would be more inclined towards buying used goods, and used goods being, one of them being electronics. But yeah, to be honest, other than that, even I don't feel right now if there's going to be a huge impact. I really liked the insight that you shared with respect to OEMs increasing a perception of a battery in a consumer's mind, and kind of still be able to kind of make up for the tariffs cost, because it might be that the battery is not that expensive, or it's easier to kind of upgrade it. I'm guessing batteries might be one of those things as well, right? Which can be easily refurbished from an older version to a new version. So there's a Mhm.
One of the easiest things is the battery, yeah, to get replaced in there. But they're doing the storage, increased storage of
Oh,
memory.
okay.
That's
Got it.
what they're
Got
doing.
it. I see. Got it. Got it. Yeah, my bad. My bad. Yeah, that actually is really helpful for the processing of your phone. But alrighty, I think we've covered a lot of topics today, Chris. It was a real pleasure speaking with you. I really appreciate the time. I think we touched on topics that are really close to not just the electronics industry, but to the overall industry, retail industry, and the second-hand and the circular mission we are all part of. So I really appreciate the time you took to chat today. And do you have any message? How can people reach out to you?
Yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can always email me. It's just Christopher.Hale@smartphonesplus.com. Always looking to connect with other people, whether it's a business relationship or just to connect and network and just chat. So, yeah,
Awesome.
thanks
Yes.
for having me. I appreciate it. It was great chatting today, and always love talking about this. It's one of my passions. So I love talking about. Real quick, just want to touch on. The whole journey started out as just making an extra dollar on the side, right? Just an extra
Mhm.
little side hustle, but it's really translated into something a lot bigger than that. More than ever, am I more passionate about sustainability and just doing the right thing for the world and just kind of helping educate other people, because after starting it and just seeing the devices come in, and at first I didn't think I really had that much of an impact on doing anything in recycling, but even phone cases come in, or cords, or all this extra stuff that people would just throw away. And sitting down thinking about it, we have thousands of pounds of waste that is literally diverted from the landfill in the form of not only electronics but all the accessories that are along with it. So yeah, it's really changed my entire mindset on the industry, and kind of on all the behind the scenes stuff that goes beyond in the circular economy. So, but yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. But yeah, otherwise, I appreciate the time today. It was fun, and it was a good conversation.
Yeah, 100%. And just to kind of touch on what you said, yeah, 100%. It sometimes you start a part, but you don't realize how big of an impact you're making. I
Right.
really see your business making, if like be moving thousands of electronic phones that would otherwise be refurbished, or like the parts. Basically, I think the parts are even bigger, as you said. So it's great to have leaders like you in this industry, because that keeps kind of the innovation going. The industry doesn't have that many, voices, as many as it needs. So, like sometimes it's harder to be in the group which is, not that popular, where there are companies that are doing other kind of businesses that are looked as more sexy, but there are
Right.
businesses that actually make the impact and actually make the revenue. And I think investing in circular economy and building businesses like you is one of them. So thanks for doing your part, and thanks for being on the show. Thanks for having me.
Great. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you. You as well.